The four Republican Party candidates for governor of Illinois have told the Central Illinois audience they favor property tax caps, pension reform, ending Illinois' status as a sanctuary state, and rolling back the Safety Criminal Justice Reform Act, which ended cash bail. WGLT's Charlie Schlenker reports.
About 500 people heard from former State Senator Darren Bailey, the party's 2022 gubernatorial nominee, Ted Dabrowski, a former president of conservative think tank Wirepoints, two-term DuPage County Sheriff James Mendrick, and Barrington Hills real estate developer and Gold Rush gaming owner Rick Heidner. The Tazewell County GOP hosted the forum in Washington, Illinois. Immigration was a major theme for all the candidates. They spoke out against so-called sanctuary cities. Ted Dabrowski says his immigrant parents supported assimilation.
And I don't like this, teaching kids in Spanish in our schools. That doesn't make sense. We're in America. So you have to get rid of that. That's got to go.
Darren Bailey and Rick Heidner blamed Governor J.B. Pritzker for the unrest over ICE raids.
If we would have opened our doors for ICE to come in, they would have been in and out of here in probably 6 to 8 weeks to get the worst of the worst out of here.
Darren Bailey says if he's elected, he will flip the script and take a page from President Trump's playbook to pressure immigration-friendly cities to obey federal immigration agents.
We will begin implementing ideas and holding back money from cities who continue to refuse to follow the law, much like J.B. Pritzker or President Trump's doing with him right now.
Sheriff Mendrick says when state and federal law compete, federal law should prevail.
This could be taken care of in one day with an executive order saying, Mr. Trump, this is Governor Mendrick, and I'm going to give you access to our jails again.
Mendrick claimed there are about 700,000 undocumented immigrants in the state, and ICE is getting perhaps 15 people a day in raids. He says gaining access to the 92 jails in the state would increase the tally to 200 people per week. All the gubernatorial candidates think property taxes are too high in the state. Rick Heidner wants to grow taxes by building new businesses as a way to take pressure off of homeowners. Darren Bailey wants an Illinois Doge. He says you should not be paying more for real estate taxes than you do for your mortgage.
You realize last year $2.5 billion was spent to people who are here illegally, giving them free housing, free insurance, and free food. $1.5 billion was just pulled from the gas tax fund to bail out Chicago Transit Authority. Friends, where is the accountability?
Unpacking part of that, Bailey was apparently citing a Heritage Foundation study when he mentioned spending $2.5 billion on undocumented immigrants. The figure is also nationwide, not Illinois alone, and various sources question the Heritage claim, noting that undocumented immigrants are not eligible for Medicaid. Rick Heidner also points to school vouchers as a way to lower property taxes.
Take some of that burden from the real estate taxes away from that and maybe let people have choice, and then maybe give them 50% of what we're spending on the children in public schools and make the public schools accountable for how they're teaching our children. I think that would go a long way.
Ted Dabrowski looks to Indiana for inspiration, a 1% tax cap on the value of your home. Dabrowski did not mention that Indiana also has a different tax structure that includes county-by-county income taxes. Dabrowski does acknowledge that if property taxes go down and nothing else goes up, government will have to cut spending.
You all know we have the most units of government in the country. The most units of government. It's amazing. Florida has 74 school districts. 74. That means 74 superintendents. How many do we have in Illinois? 850.
Dabrowski also wants to eliminate the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. He says he does not want governors picking winners and losers by offering incentives. Pension reform also figures in candidate comments. They vary on how much of a pension to offer to new state employees. James Mendrick suggests current employment patterns mean most people don't stay in the same job their entire careers. He says one way to lower pension liability is to allow workers who move to different state jobs covered by a different pension fund to purchase pension credits with their own money. Ted Dabrowski wants to move to a portable 401k style defined contribution fund for all new state workers. Darren Bailey does not support that idea.
I used to think the 401k plan was the answer, but it's not. It actually ends up costing you more, so that's not going to work.
Bailey criticizes past lawmakers for kicking the can down the road and using state money that should have gone to pensions on other things. Bailey says the men and women who are earning the pensions, who are living off of them, are going to have to come to the table, and the state will have to cut a deal that everyone can live by. Rick Heidner shies away from trying to change anything for current state employees. Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker won handily against Darren Bailey in the last election. The candidates acknowledge they will have to do something different to unseat Pritzker. Bailey emphasizes overall turnout, noting President Trump received more Illinois votes in the last presidential contest than Pritzker did 2 years earlier. Dabrowski, Mendrick, and Heidner also emphasized their Chicago and Collier County ties as a path to improving GOP results in the most populous section of the state with independents and other groups. That's a veiled knock on the viability of Bailey, who comes from southern Illinois. Dabrowski says it's important to be from the Chicago area to get those votes. He highlights his Polish and Latino heritage as a way to appeal to constituencies that have gone heavily for Pritzker in the past. Dabrowski says you have lots of people upset in the black community about illegal immigration. He thinks they are ripe for conversion to the GOP cause. Dabrowski says Pritzker has become so extreme that there is an amazing opportunity. Sheriff Mendrick told the audience he thinks law enforcement is likely to resonate with potential swing voters in Chicago and the Collier counties.
And I'll tell you, Crime Safety Act, that is the other part of it. The Democrats were on board with that in the beginning. In Chicago, no way. I mean, now they're getting 42 people shot on a weekend. They're getting people released 72 times from a crime and then burning up a lady on a train. It's getting all too often.
Darren Bailey applauded his opponents for not taking direct shots at him since he's leading in the polls. Bailey said he expected to be a punching bag. The only direct hit during the forum was when Ted Dabrowski questioned campaign contributions businessman Rick Heidner made to some Chicago Democrats. Heidner said he regretted one of them, but the others were in aid of his and a friend's business. There was also a call for party unity from Darren Bailey, no matter who wins the Republican Party primary.
The day after the primary in 2022, all of my co-competitors, they got up and they walked away. They were not seen again. Gary Rabine stayed and helped. And we've got to make sure that we commit ourselves right here, that on March 18th, we stick together and we work together.
The candidates say their party has internal challenges and faces a supermajority in the House and Senate, but the governor's race remains their best hope. I'm Charlie Schlenker.